Gunpla. I'm, of course, Steven, your host, aka Midnight Hatter, joined as always by the Blue Gamer Gundam Explainer Adam Blue. And we have a special guest here tonight, fresh off the heels of a regional GBWC victory with an amazing Zeta build that I was like brought to tears with on Instagram. Gunpla Luke is joining us this evening. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it. Under such short notice, I feel like we just started talking like Monday.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I
But
don't
it,
have anything.
it does feel like it's been a crazy week. Or it feels like it's been a crazy week today, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it feels like, this is like a 7-day work week opposed to a 5-day work week already. So
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But that's why we like to break up the work week and talk about Gundam and take people's minds off of whatever else they got going on in their lives. I see that chat is already excited, which is good. Get your questions in that you have for Luke here, and we'll do our best to bring them up. I actually did get the chat pop up working today, so it's not going to be like last week where I just like miss super chats and things like that. um, yeah, but yeah. So obviously we love having Gunpla builders on here to kind of share their stories, share their inspiration, and kind of like the general theme of what we talk about here is like inspiring, empowering, and educating people in all of their hobbies, like whether it's game development, whether it's writing tabletop games, building Gunpla. And so we kind of have like all kinds of different creatives just come on here and share their experiences. And so it's awesome to have you here to do the same thing. So if you don't mind, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, like when did you get into scale modeling, and was it always Gundam? What kind of give us the 10,000 foot view.
yeah, sure. So I have probably been into scale modeling for like about 5 years-ish. I think I'm coming up on maybe six. It's hard to remember. But I don't know. I feel like I've like always kind of had a liking to stuff like this. Growing up, I was exposed to Warhammer 40K pretty like early, and I thought it was really cool. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the game, but like the minis seemed really awesome, and
Yeah.
the books looked really cool, and so like I was into those, and I liked to like there was whenever I was younger, there was like these Yu-Gi-Oh almost like models that they were like that you would assemble, and they weren't exactly like models, but they came in pieces, and also Legos, of course. I was really into those too, and I'd known about Gundam for a long time. I mean, I like most people, I got it off Toonami. I would like dread through Gundam Wing. Sorry to anybody who loves Gundam Wing, but like, I would dread through Gundam Wing to watch Dragon Ball Z. Um, and so that was kind of my first exposure to Gundam and knowing what it was. And after that, it was kind of like always in the back of my mind, like knowing what it was, but never really getting into it. And then probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I saw a video of Gundam Unicorn, and I was like, wait, like this is what Gundam looks like now. And so I went and I watched Gundam Unicorn. Since I was new to the whole like UC thing, I didn't know what was going on, but like most people,
Exactly.
I feel like that opening scene between the Stark Jagan and the Kshatriya just like hooks everybody, and that's like what got me. I was like I need this, and so I started looking online and found out that they made model kits. Ordered a HG unicorn off of Amazon, and the rest is history.
That is cool. Yeah, because my
Very cool.
first was a unicorn. And the same
Yeah.
kind of thing where then I watched unicorn and I'm like, what is this? So then I started from the beginning. Love it. That's cool.
See, that's so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that Unicorn ended up being such a great jumping on point for people for UC, because it's like you wouldn't natively think that. It's very counterintuitive to think that like you could hop in at the end of a story and then, oh yeah, of course. Even though I don't know what's going on, like, I still love this. But like you said, that opening scene alone is so well crafted. You don't really even understand the context of it until later, but just the action is incredible. And yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned like, you know, kind of suffering through Wing because I had like kind of the reverse situation is like I was a huge Gundam Wing fan in like middle school and high school, and I would get teased and people were like, "Oh, is that Escaflowne?" And I'm like, "No, it's Gundam, it's different." Like
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because I didn't watch Wing until recently because that was kind of, what do you say, like after my time, I guess, when that show came out. But then watching it recently, it's like it's cheesy and kind of corny, but then
certain
slowly I built
charm.
this nostalgia that never existed, and I was like, okay, it has its place. Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't get like the just the mobile suit like designs. I just couldn't like get behind it.
No,
I mean,
and
Yeah, I
no
know what you
honestly,
mean.
slight
There's
shade to anybody that likes it. I just yeah, it was just hard for me.
no, man, there's
yeah.
something to that because I think the first time I watched a UC show, I was like, "Where's the big green dot in the chest? Like it's not a Gundam if it doesn't have the."
Yeah, yeah. What is this? What are these practical mobile suits doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do these
Yeah,
mean?
there are no boys in tank tops here to fight. So when you scooped this HG unicorn, like, did you immediately get into customization, or like, were you just kind of enthralled with the kit building process and kind of, you know, kind of inch your
Um,
way up towards, you know, where you're at now?
yeah, I was for sure like just like I think in awe of like the kit building process on that first one that like you could do this and you had like this product at the end that was basically an action figure. Um and I thought it was really cool, and I think for about like 2 weeks I was like, like I just discovered like a new drug, and I was going through kits like every other day. I had packages coming in from Amazon. I was on like like a just a I don't know, and it was bad. I was going through kits every other day. I was doing like RGs, HGs. I did one MG, and as I was going, I went to a con, and I met up with some people who had like the Oklahoma Gunpla group, and I had no idea, and so like I joined their Facebook and started seeing more of like what Gunpla could be, and I started pushing into like water slide decals, and like whenever I was getting into water slides on like my snap build kits, like I thought like this was like it, like this is so cool. They look so good, and then um I started doing or I started getting on like the internet and looking at Gunpla builds on Google and seeing like all these custom builds and scribing and everything, and I started like realizing that it's probably not economical to build this fast um with this many kits all the time. I need to like
Yeah.
slow it down,
Yeah.
and so I started giving scribing a try, like, which is really weird that I did that so early. But I just saw these other kits, and I started putting two and two together that they didn't come out of the box like this. Um and I started scribing, and I wasn't even into painting yet, which is like sacrilege right now.
I was gonna
But
say that's
like
like you went everything backward.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
honestly, I really did. It was I was doing like water slides, no top coat. I was doing scribing without painting. And I was using at the time, which is it's crazy how what we have now for it, but I was using like the Tamiya scriber uh from Amazon, which is like it's
Like,
not really a screen. Yes, yes,
oh,
This
that's
like
a meat that's a meat hook, not a
I
scriber.
know.
Yeah, that thing should be used for a slasher film, not for Gunpla.
No,
And I
yeah, I
was
use that a
using
lot.
that. Yeah, I was using that, and
Oh man,
um,
yeah. I can't stand this thing. The fact that I have it so close to me on my desk is a testament to like, yeah, that's
it's crazy, but somehow like I sort of like mastered it, and I don't know if you can find it in the highlight, but like I did a PG Exia and I scribed it with that. And yeah, it's wild. Um let's see if it's there. If it's not, I can put it in there real quick. or I could send it to you. But like I did this
Okay,
PGX
cool.
unit with that scriber, which was like my second thing to ever scribe. And
There are so
when
many Double O fans that are just like, no. Like,
well,
not
like
only
that's the
did you
thing.
go to a perfect grade with it, but then like with the worst tool imaginable.
I know, like, I mean, this is when I'm talking, I made some of the biggest mistakes possible. Like I'm telling you, like I made some of the biggest mistakes possible. Um, so I went with that, starting to scribe, and I actually somehow pulled off. 2019 was the first time that GBWC had a regional, and I've actually pulled off the win with that Exia that was scribed.
Look, man,
Um,
don't sleep on this thing because there's some stuff you can do with this that you can't do with like a typical chisel. Like, because it's got that little hook on it, sometimes you can like trace the frame of a part. So like if you ever wanted to do those like inset panel lines on like a skirt piece, there you
I
go.
use it now for just like cutting sheets of plot plate. uh,
Or
but I just
shaving.
I just DM'd it to you uh in your messages, so it should be there.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, so like I got into scribing, and it was like it was so much fun that I was like, I got to do this again. And so I just from then on just started doing everything like that I was doing custom wise towards kits. Like so like scribing now became a new like a base thing. Like if I was going to build a kit, I was going to scribe it. And then I got into painting, and I painted a Jagan for the first time at a master grade Jagan because it was just, like super simple. But no, yeah, it was I wasn't always into custom work, but
But it's kind
I
of grown
jumped in
on you.
sort of quickly. Yeah. I
Well,
realized I couldn't build kits that fast and have like a good bank account.
well, yeah,
And
it's like
Yeah.
also,
I used to
I
collect
just
comic books, and it's like when you go in weekly and you buy these little $3 floppy books, and like that adds up really quick. Like you can't, that's not sustainable economically.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was a combination of that and then just wanting to start making the things I was seeing online.
Mm.
And yeah, so
No, but this is incredible. So what would you say is your favorite grade to work on? Because like, I've kind of seen you bounce from different model types like
I usually bounce between like master grade and high grades. Um, High grades for like the doing like crazy detailed stuff and working on like a cool articulated model, and then I go into high grades for the suits that I usually can't find in master grade. But I prefer like master grade just because of like just the size is great. The size of the
yeah.
pieces are great for working on custom stuff.
Yeah, the scale's
And
very favorable.
what?
The scale is very very favorable. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. PGs are just so big, and I don't think I would have the room for doing them, and they would take just forever. And I think like my ADHD would like just kick in, and I'd go into another project.
Yeah.
But
I know
uh,
that
but
feeling.
no, there are some good high grades out there that I really enjoyed working on. Like for instance, like the Hazen play there. That was
Yeah.
a super fun one. AOZ, I'd never done it, but yeah, bouncing back and forth. Each of them have their own kind of like use to me. HGs are really good like palette cleanser between master grades that take like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I like to tell people, you really I'm not like a grade supremacist. Like, I don't, everything is different. And so it's, you can high grades are nice like to do quick customizations with. I think that like, even though real grades I would say are like probably the peak of building experience at that 1/44th scale, like, if you're going to do any customizations, especially like I love doing like LEDs and internal stuff. So there's not a lot of room inside with that movable frame to do that kind of stuff with, so it makes it trickier to work with. So like a high grade makes more sense. But I can appreciate and understand like why you would want like so like that.
Yeah, some of the kits like that without having that inner frame is just it's you lose. I feel like some, especially in some of the older HGs, like you lose some of that articulation, and posability. Which I mean, let's be honest, I put everything in like a power stance anyway, so I don't know why I'm complaining about posability.
No, okay, so that actually brings up a very good question, very good part, or what you call it, segue into what I wanted to kind of ask you about this piece that won your regional GBWC this year is the Hope Among the Stars build, which is a Zeta Plus, coming upon a Nemo, and I don't even know if you can see it, like, stream. Let me know if you guys can see the pilot um coming out of the Nemo and being rescued. So one of the things that, like, outside of technique and everything, and we're definitely going to get into, like, all the different techniques that you employed for this particular build, but the diorama aspect and the narrative behind this build is very unique to me because, like you said, typically people like to go for like a power stance. Sometimes there's builds where it's like a very combat centric stance, or like you have like the dilapidated, oh, it's overgrown with moss and things like that. I think there's that like really awesome Zeta build that's like Tears of Time, and it's like the Zeta torso in a junkyard. But
Mm.
what I love about this piece, narratively speaking, is that it's not a combat piece. It's like actually a rescue operation, and like, there's, you know, no pun intended, like hope in the piece. And so I wanted to ask you about that because that's it's not something you see very often. And so I'm not only glad that you did it, but I'm glad that it got recognition.
Yeah, the concept was it evolved a few ways, just through like development of like what I wanted, like what I really wanted to do, what I had access to. And I knew like I wanted to use the A1, because the plan was to get a jump start on GBWC beforehand, because last year I was kind of like rushing. And so I knew I wanted to use the A1, and I wanted to do something from Gundam Sentinel, which with Gundam Sentinel, like there's not a lot of visual aid from that.
No,
And
it's
it's, yeah, so like there's not a lot of visual aid, and it presented an opportunity to do an original scene that like may or may not have happened like at the Battle of Pazoon, so I could be creative while following lore. And so that was the idea, was to do a some sort of rescue at the Battle of Pazoon with the Zeta Plus arriving, with Task Force Alpha arriving, which was also like thought of where like I could have a clean mobile suit, I could have a weathered mobile suit, and I can do diorama. So I can literally show like my full skill set in the build.
Mm.
That I can do clean, weathered, I can do diorama, I can do scratch build with the colony stuff. So showcasing everything that I can do in one build. And the original idea was to have the the destroyed mobile suit like in the same spot, but where like a core fighter was coming by and rescuing the mobile suit from, or the pilot from the mobile suit, and then the Zeta Plus was in like a firing position with its two like hip cannons,
okay. Yeah.
protecting the core fighter, protecting or getting the pilot. And I was like, well, that's it's kind of a lot going on, and plus like composition wise, it puts the A1 in front of the other mobile suit, and I don't want to like block that, which is supposed to be sort of part of the main scene. And so composition wise, I felt like I was like I couldn't figure out how I wanted to like display it. And so I was thinking, I was like, well, why don't I just like cut out the core fighter, and we just go with, like Task Force Alpha is arriving on the scene at Pazoon, and as they come in, like the A1 picks up a distress signal from a downed mobile suit, and he goes in for the rescue on the pilot. And that kind of, struck with like the name of like Hope Among the Stars, like, the pilot's getting saved. The A1 is the pilot's like only hope right now in a battle where, he may not make it out. And so yeah, that was kind of the idea of what I wanted to do, and then how I wanted to display it was was kind of almost like creation of Adam-esque, the Michelangelo painting from the Sistine
Oh
Chapel
yeah.
where
Mm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like almost like creation of Adam-esque where like, the mobile suit is down and the Zeta is like giving the pilot life almost um as a rescue. And if like the with the A1 like leaning in and the pilot going in like in the direction like dynamically like art structure wise. I did a lot took a lot of art history in college.
No, man,
I'm also a graphic designer as well, so like a lot of this stuff is pretty thought out. So like all the angling for that stuff is angled in like inwards to draw your eye into the main section of the scene where the pilot is going towards the Zeta's hand.
yeah, I
Same
mean, I
with like
see the golden
the
ratio
asteroid.
of like if you follow the body of the A1 around, it's like the core of the scene is at the sort of apex of where the pilot and the A1 are meeting, and then everything kind of spins out from it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like everything is drawing your eye into the pilot to the Zeta Plus. And so like even the asteroid is angled in, the colony fragment on the left side is angled in. So there was a lot of like just paying attention to drawing your eye towards the scene, and trying to get as much as I could focused towards the pilot and the Zeta Plus. Oh, and also like creating that tension of like he's almost there. He's not there yet, but he's almost there. Um,
Which
was also
thematically
like
kind of sticks with that like hope idea, because it's like at any second, fire could come from a Gundam Mark 4. No, Mark 5 is
Mark
the one
five,
from,
yeah, Mark
yeah.
five, which I'm actually working on right now.
There you
Oh,
go.
cool.
No, I mean,
So yeah,
I love all of this sound structure behind it. I mean, this is to me, this is what makes projects beautiful, and I love that you thought very tactically about like how can I showcase as many different skill sets in one piece as I can. So that's very it's awesome. But you still showed the ability to pivot, because obviously once you have something in there that you can't make work, like with the core fighter, it's important to be able to um kill your darlings, right? Is like the
yeah. I thought it was such a cool idea. I just couldn't figure out at the time how I wanted to make it work because the hard part with the A1 is that it's a 20-plus-year-old model, and so it has no underside action-based connector.
Yep.
It works off of like the fork one,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
so the mobile suit is just resting there. But like what I had to do, I had to modify the fork thing to hold the A1 at that angle. Otherwise, it would just fall forward.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the
Ah.
downside was that like I was not having the A1 in that pose was going to be hard to do. Um, as well as just composition wise, I just didn't like it.
Yeah, well, and so you brought up a really good point about like Gundam Sentinel, and I saw this kind of going around on Twitter just a few weeks ago. People were talking about like the S Gundam being like Gunpla Builder's like master test. Like at the end of the day, like if you are able to customize and deliver an S Gundam, for some reason that makes you like a pro builder. And I think it goes to what you were talking about, where it's like, because there's very limited source material around Gundam Sentinel, it's very open-ended what you can do with it, which makes any of the Gundam Sentinel designs, because they're so detail rich, because they're all transformable, and because you can do so much that's still lore friendly, it really does give you kind of carte blanche to do whatever you want, and like it's like the ultimate symbol of self-expression. And so I think that's kind of what you encapsulated here.
Yeah, I would say like that's sort of like ish. Like I was lucky like that, um, the Zeta Plus shares a lot of similarities to the Zeta,
Yeah.
and so like finding resource material on like detailed inspiration and how I wanted to go about detailing the mobile suit. That luckily wasn't too bad, but yeah, like I did get to do like put like like my own style as well on it, and come up with a and kind of like the goal like with the A1 originally was, bring a 20-plus-year-old model into like the modern era. Um,
That's cool.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, I didn't even know that this was the older version of the kit. I thought that this was the P Bandai, the C1 that, um,
Oh yeah, this is like the
Oh,
was it 2002 master grade A1?
wow.
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, so yeah, that makes this even more legit because then there's all kinds of upscaling that you need to do with those older kits.
Oh yeah, this thing was a mess.
So I saw in chat earlier, someone actually mentioned what is your favorite Gundam series and why? Yeah, from the Gelgoog guy.
Oh, favorite Gundam series. Phew, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I I like Zeta a lot.
Good answer.
It
Good
has it
answer.
has
Stop there. No.
yeah,
He did his
it has a
homework
lot
before
of
coming on.
great it has a lot of great mobile suit designs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was reading a lot with with Zeta and how like it was one of the first like or one of the times where like the mobile suit designs were designed and thought out with like military use in mind and
Yeah.
everything. And I really really like that because that's what like draws me into UC is that like that realistic aspect of the mobile suits. And so Zeta Zeta really caught me, and plus the story was pretty cool. But yeah, I think Zeta and Unicorn, just because Unicorn like is what really drew me into Gundam, and it just looks great too.
Yeah, I think both have like a very they both have a large cast of like wildly varying characters which are fun to kind of unpack and discuss. Let me see, because I see that like Zoom is about to kick us out. So I was wondering, should we hop to an intermission and start a new call and hop back in so that we can keep going a little longer? Are you guys okay with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. Let me just throw up a little intermission screen. We will be right back. All right, we are back. We appreciate your patience. Let's just hop back into it with another question from the chat. Ultronomist asking, what are some of your favorite non-Gundam model kits, if any?
Ooh.
Yeah, what's your take on that?
So I did go through like a phase, like maybe like a year ago, of actually getting back into Warhammer 40K.
Oh, cool.
I had a friend wrote me in, and I went pretty hard for like 4-ish months, just painting minis and stuff like that. And um, it was really fun. I mean, I like the minis were badass. I mean, I went with some of like the Space Marines, and I mean they just look cool.
Yeah.
And I did that for a minute, but outside of that, like I really haven't gone out of Gundam. It really hasn't been a reason, but one of my friends from another Gunpla group here in Oklahoma, he actually put me on the Ma K stuff.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and he gave me my first one to work on, and so I'm excited to try to do that. Just I really like seeing them on my Instagram. I follow a lot of people who do them, and I just think like if there's any sort of model kit to me that like shows like full creativity and like expressive creativity, it's those things, because like there is no one kind or like really deep like lore on a lot of them or anything. So like you just
Mm.
see a unique one every time, and
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, the Machine Kriegers are like all about like the aesthetic and not so much like the narrative part is what you bring to it, right? And I've seen
Yeah.
some fantastic stuff, and I haven't built one myself, but as I understand it, they're less toy like than like a Gunpla or like a Kotobukiya kit or something like that.
Hey, Luke, have you seen those? I don't know if you heard the brand Joy Toy. They have those new Space Marine or Warhammer 40K figures.
Huh.
They're awesome because you don't have to paint or build anything, but they're super highly detailed and articulated. I bought like a bunch of them in Tyranids. I have a little
Oh
thing.
dang.
Yeah, because yeah, it's like getting another model kit series to build or paint. Cuts into the time. So
Yeah, like those things take so long to paint, and like I have this like problem where like if it's not like good enough, like I won't move on. And so
oh,
like my friend was waiting for me to play, and he's like, "Is your army done yet? Is your army done yet? Is your army done yet?" And I'm like, "No, I'm still going. I'm still going." And
Okay, so
there's
that
then
that.
answers my question because like the question is always like, okay, so you paint Warhammer 40K, do you play any? So you do play the tabletop game.
I did for like a little bit. I haven't played in a while since I haven't played 10th edition at all. Um but I was playing probably once a week for like a good
Wow.
like 2 months.
That is
And
more than
we have a pretty
90% of the 40K fandom as far as I know. Like
well, like what was really cool was that like I did a lot of research before getting into it, like and I saw a lot of people saying like do like start a 500 point army, because it's easier to find a 500 point game. They don't take 6 hours. It's faster to paint 500 points, and you can like flux, like get new units and change things in and out with pretty easy with 500 points. And so I was like, all right, like we'll do that. And so I got onto like whatever the army builder thing is for 40K, and I just put together a 500 point list of like shit I thought looked cool. And so I did that, and my friend taught me the rules, and we played and had a good time. And I just
Wow.
haven't done it anymore because I've been pretty wrapped up in Gunpla again.
Yeah,
understandably.
it's hard to manage these hobbies. Yeah, I've never played Warhammer myself, but I love the whole Space Marine aesthetic and all that stuff. And
Oh
there's
yeah,
even a
it's super
Warhammer
cool.
cafe just a couple miles from me. I'll go every once in a while just to look at the stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think Warhammer is dope. I think the
yeah.
lore is cool. I think it's all like awesome. It just takes so fucking long to play a game.
Part of me wants to get into it. Like, I have a few miniatures that I've painted, but part of me wants to get into it just so that I can 3D print like the Scorn Mandark Gundam bits for Space Marines and like make a little squad of Zaku Space Marines.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
but I don't think anyone would let me play with that. Like, I'd probably be laughed off at the table.
Make your own
I think
chapter.
you'd be surprised as long as you're not like at an official GW store. Because I was at one, and like they're like it's weird, man. Like they're like you gotta use a fish. Like it's literally like going to a GBWC every time. They're like, is that GW shit? Is that GW shit? Is that GW shit? Like if it's not, like you can't play. And I'm not kidding. It's really weird.
Wow.
So
I mean, I get it. But yeah, that's
yeah, it's literally like showing up to a GBWC every time. Like, you know, like you have to make sure you're using the like Bandai stuff.
yeah,
So
gotta be
Mm.
official. So, leading up to GBWC, I saw that you also had like, been utilizing some of your pieces as like tutorial content on Instagram, which was really helpful for me because I'm like sitting here like, okay, taking notes. Um, what is like, because I know that you've got kind of like a subscription based lesson service that you kind of help people develop their skills. Um, Basically, like pitch that to me. Like, what all can we learn from you?
Oh man, like if you see it on my page, like you can learn it. Most of the time, I have people will come to me with like, hey, like can we do this? Or like, oh, I've seen this. I want to like, can we talk about it? Or I have an idea. Like, can we talk about it? And literally like if I can do it, I'll teach you how to do it. Or if you got something you want to talk about, like as far as like build idea or like concepting for a diorama, thinking about stuff like that,
What
we can
about
all
like airbrush maintenance?
yeah, we can talk about it too. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's the
'Cause-
hardest part.
yeah. um but but no, yeah, anything you see me do, we can do it. And the way I try to go around it is, finding out like what problems you're having specifically or what like you're trying to get out of it, and then targeting the lesson towards you. Like I've been a coach, I've coached sports like quite a bit, and I've coached other people like in other stuff, and that's kind of like the best approach is, find out what problems they're having and target those problems specifically. And it really makes a personal experience, and then also you solve their problems hopefully, and create a person that comes back. Like a lot of the people that I've done lessons with, they come back for more, and so
That's
like
cool.
it's really good. I keep a pretty close relationship too with everybody that I do them with. I like to see what they're working on and how they're applying it. Like one of the guys that I've done lessons with, he's doing fantastic. Like actually, quite a bit of them are. Um, and then that kind of sparked the next big thing, which was the shadow build project. Which one of the guys came up to me and was like, "Hey, like could we build like can we do a build like side by side basically, like where you do everything and then you teach me everything you do, and we basically have the same mobile suit at the end?" And so we did it. I did it twice. I did it twice. Haven't started up any rounds yet because I've just been super busy and I don't want to overcommit. But
No, but
yeah, like
that's a brilliant way of going about it, and
Yeah.
I think that what's fascinating about that is I think that it's scalable too, because like I mean you think about like Udemy courses, right? I've done like a lot of video game dev Udemy courses, and it's the same deal, right? Where it's like you're building a video game side by side with the instructor, right? So this would be the same thing. It's just doing it with a model kit. And so if it's an easily accessible kit that people can get their hands on, then that's an incredibly powerful reason.
oh yeah,
That's a
like,
good idea.
it was super fun because like I used it as a way to like do some of the kits that I really wanted to do, but also like teach people. So like if you go down that easy SR right there,
Yeah.
that's one of the shadow builds. So like on the left is mine and on the
Wow.
right is the students. And so he'd never scribed before, he'd never done plot plate before. And so you can see like in comparison to work, like just through development of, teaching him, I created PDF lessons of step by step of like how to do the detail, like where to place the tape, how far to place the tape, like what plot plate you need, what size chisel you need, everything, like, and basically created a whole like lesson plan for how to recreate this EZSR from out of the box to this,
Dude,
besides color scheme.
that's
So
amazing. And like
That is.
and the fact that it's like very bespoke help, so it's not like, one of the things that that can be difficult is you find like a tutorial online on YouTube, or you're scrolling Reddit or something, and maybe it has really great advice, but maybe it's not directly applicable to what you're trying to do. And so something like this is like, I don't understand how anyone wouldn't want to do
Yeah,
this.
never heard of it. It's a fantastic idea. Like,
the only like downside is that it takes a while like to do.
It's a lot of
I mean,
commitment on your part for sure.
yeah, it took us a lot, and I think I overcommitted with taking two on at the same time. Just developing lesson sheets for it was pretty time demanding. But
oh,
like you're right. Um, m- some people need to learn like a different way, and like this was my like response, to there was a lot of hate, a while back ago about like paid lessons, paid stuff. And like I'm like, a community has all kinds of resources because people learn differently. And
Yeah.
this was it. I'm not getting rich here.
No.
It's like
It's
it's just for like for my time, but
yeah.
I would say like the results speak for themselves as far as
yeah,
like my students so far. So
Yeah.
uh
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I could not do this.
yeah.
And the
I would need
fact that,
lessons.
like, I would not even say that one of these two side by side is better than the other. I think that there's like small minor differences between them, but like, on the surface, I'm looking at basically two really well done professional kits. And so like, yeah, if there was a way to do like signups where it's like, okay, you're going to take on 5 students at once, but it's only one build for all 5 students, like all of us are kind of working together on one build, then like I think even though it's not one on one, it's 1 to 5, that student to teacher ratio is way better than like what you would get from just a video tutorial. And I'm a big believer in like you get what you pay for. So I know that like whenever anybody comes hating on anything because of the price, I'm like, like, yeah, you could probably get this lesson for free, and then you're probably not going to get the same result. So like,
Yeah, and that was like, people would be like, "Oh yeah, you can do it for free. You could go find it out for free. You can go onto YouTube and look it for free." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, can you ask that YouTube video a question? Like,
Right.
because your that YouTube video is gonna spark questions like, what's next? Like, what's the next step?" And like that was the best part about this was that like the question that they had, we could just go right into it and talk about it. But like so like and I got the permission from the guy who I did this with. Like I was like, hey, would you mind like if I packaged up the PDFs and sold like the PDFs? And I've done that where like so there was another guy who came to me and he was like, hey, I want to do this build because I want to learn like how to do all this. And like I didn't have to teach him like scribing stuff. Like he already knew a lot, like some of that. But I've made a fair price for all of the lesson sheets, and I sent him over a Google Drive link, and now he's like cooking on the EZSR, and it looks great. Like I'm like, damn, like this could actually might work. um, but yeah, so now like he's doing that, and I think like it's just really good, to like, yeah, it's going to be the same as somebody else's and the same as mine, but I mean it's a good lesson plan for learning how to do
yeah.
some of this stuff, and I feel like it covers just about everything.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, your testimonials say it all. Like, your scribing class helped me big time. This was a game changer for me. So like, yeah, I think that I would encourage anybody to, if this is an opportunity that's available, absolutely pounce on it. Because I know I would.
Yeah.
And I've been building and customizing Gunpla for 13 years, and none of my stuff looks this good. So if that's um but no, that's cool. And so like when you talk about, building communities and things like that, I think that you know, sometimes it can be tough because kind of like where I built my sort of niche was in Gundam and tabletop. And so like my Discord server, obviously anyone can join, and people can share advice back and forth, but like, I think that there is a certain level of like diminishing returns when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, if that's like
Yeah,
like it's easy to take too much advice, especially when you have a vision that you're trying to pursue, and you know maybe one person has the answer but 12 people are giving you suggestions.
been there. Yeah, yeah, I get that.
So tell me what's next, for you. Like you said, took home the regional victory for Hope Among the Stars. What's next for Luke?
Whew. So currently, like I was on like a 2 month hiatus with Gunpla and just like I guess anything model related in general. And I knew what I wanted to do, and I think honestly like this burnt me out a lot with just stressing over it, working on it, and I just like I needed a break. But my next thing that I put like in a um with like having subscriptions now was that I'm working on the Master Grade Mark V, the P Bandai Mark V. It's my white whale kit, so we're gonna do
Okay.
this like same detail like level as the cloud jumper, like the I think it's on like on my pinned builds, GM, yeah, that GM kind of super high,
Sure.
like hyper detailed stuff like that. And uh I'm showing it now like more like my style like for Instagram is like I show like a milestone like picture, like like we got the chest fully detailed, and I'll share that, but then I won't share anything until the next section is fully detailed. But I started now like with doing the subscriptions, like sharing like the piece by piece stuff of like this is what this looks like, this is like the design before I start working, this is why I chose to do the way I do it. Here's like a mock-up of it, or here's like the finished piece using this and this. um and so yeah, the plan is to do the Mark V, document it more for those like subscription stuff, but still share the same milestones like I normally do. So like the content's not going away at all, just offering more in a different place, for those who are interested in checking it out. Same with the GBWC build. I'm gonna break that down in there as well. But yeah, Mark V is on the chopping block right now. I've actually got like the chest halfway done detailing.
Oh,
It's
nice.
looking pretty sweet. And
And I love that you break it down into sections like that. It's like, you know, can be daunting and overwhelming to get an entire kit and be, yeah, I need to.
Okay, here's a
yeah,
good question. Steven and I were talking about this earlier. When you're building a leg or an arm, are you doing them at the same time, or do you complete one and then do the other?
same time.
Cool.
So
That's
so
what we
like
were just saying.
yeah, and it fucking sucks because like I hate legs for that reason. But
Yep.
it's the worst part, I'm telling you.
Okay,
But
so
like
like do you really enjoy building, or have you gotten to the point where you are anxious to finish building the kit because you want to start the customization process?
Um, pretty much, yeah. Like the customization is like my
That's
favorite part. I hate painting. Um,
Oh,
and I don't mind decaling.
yeah,
But
decaling's kind of fun.
but I hate painting because like I'm like fuck. I just scribed all these lines. Now I got to do color separation on all of them. Now I got to mask it and paint again. Ask it again. Like I some of these pieces on the like the GM here, like there's 4 colors on like one piece or 5 colors on one piece. That's a nightmare.
oh yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hate I hate myself for it. But
I mean, you
but
did
like
pick the color scheme, so it's not. That's,
yeah, like it's awesome when it's done, but I mean during like the time I'm like, why the fuck did I do this? So
I have this
yeah,
theory when it comes to creatives where it's like we don't actually like doing the thing that we claim to like doing. We like having done it. So like writers don't like writing novels. They like
Oh,
having written a novel and having it behind them to say,
yeah.
"Look, I
yeah.
did that."
Yeah.
That's how I feel with Gunpla, where it's like, man, when I'm in it, I am that meme of like the guy with the screwdriver that's just like, "Come on, you motherfucker!" um,
Yeah,
that's
that's
me up until it's done, and then I'm like, okay, feel good about
yeah.
myself again.
Like the detailing process, like I love the detailing process of like doing everything and then priming it, and then after that, like I wish I could just stop, like and not have to paint it.
Sometimes
But
stuff looks good in that flat gray, like,
oh, it looks
Yeah.
it looks awesome. Like I think it's like just leave it like that, you know.
yeah.
Um,
And that definitely has like that more military, like utilitarian vibe to it than
Yeah.
something that's full color, right?
Yeah, it's and it's kind of like I think it's because I like that like real type color scheme, like the gray, like lots of different grays and stuff like that. And so I think the prime like a primed model kit has just that place in my heart there that it looks just good like that. I even thought about like opening up like a Comworks thing where like I just detail it and prime it and then send it to you, and then you can have fun doing whatever you want to do with it. But yeah, so there was that idea out of
That's not a
my
bad idea.
No.
like, hey, yeah, you want a Gunpla Luke kit? Here you go. Here it's all primed, ready for you to paint it however you want and enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I'll just keep doing the thing that I like. Because like, I tell this to people too, like with Gunpla customization, like if you don't like love that part of the journey of it, like it can be like hell on earth. Because I talk to some people who like don't they want to do like this kind of stuff. They just don't like doing it, and it just burns them out like for with Gunpla. And I'm just like, like if you don't like it, you don't like it. But it's yeah, it's if you don't like it, it can be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that it can be rewarding in the end, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like a Dark Souls boss, like,
Exactly.
there's a sense of achievement to it. If it were easy, then you probably wouldn't want to do it in the first place, is kind of how
Yeah.
I feel about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's the end result is always like amazing. Like everything up to it sort of sucks, but the end result is great, and have another kind of like kit in the portfolio,
Yeah.
um, is really awesome.
And I think that that's a very again, I love that you're sharing your progress even in just like these stages, these subsections, because I think that like I said, people can get overwhelmed with the idea of like, oh my gosh, I have to finish this complete kit. But when you have a tutorial that's just like, hey, I'm gonna do this single, thigh, like, there's nothing else going on with it, then it kind of it compartmentalizes things so that they're easier to digest.
Yeah, breaking down the step is like or like the build is something like I started doing early on because I did a build where like I detailed everything at one time and then I painted everything at one time, and then like putting it together was the first time like I had seen everything all together like done, and it was like it was really, really hard because it was a lot of one thing each time. Like I couldn't just break it up, and so doing it in like the like torso, legs, arms, backpack stuff kind of way, like it made it to where the build process was like more enjoyable. But I was also getting like to practice the skills more often. So like whenever I would take the chest piece from like front to back, from out of the box to fully painted, detailed, and everything, I was doing the whole Gunpla build process in one section, and then I would do it again, and then I would do it again. And so like I was getting more practice in one kit rather than doing it all at the same time and just not enjoying it. And
Ooh,
also it's just like it's like little W's along the way.
yeah.
Um
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
getting to see it like finished and everything, or little parts finished was like, a little more motivation than just having, I don't know, prime pieces everywhere.
It's so funny because that's something that I've quoted it from Jake Parker, who a comic book artist. He's very big about like stacking up little wins and little projects as opposed to doing big like products, because
Yeah.
he's like, if you always just start over at the beginning every time you do something, then you only ever get good at the beginning. Whereas if you can ship an entire product, then you get experience of doing the entire process like start to finish. And so what you're talking about is like the same idea where you're taking that single part from A to Z instead of taking, you know, an entire kit made up of 100 parts from A to B, and then you're having to go B to C, and then, kind of,
Yeah.
so like I think it can, not only does it give you a sense of accomplishment, but it also gives you the experience of delivering a finished product over and over again, which is
Yeah, and like let's be honest, it works for the Instagram like drip feed, you know.
Oh yeah, there's
that's
that.
right. Yeah, we all have to feed the beast.
Yeah, yeah. We gotta make sure we're keeping up with that content schedule, man.
Yeah.
um So let me see. Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm getting called out for language here in the chat. I did get a question here from Robert that is asking about the pricing on your subscription and customization list. Is
So
that something you want to say? Like, I don't want you to have to answer if it's not something you want to answer on stream. Obviously, you can go to Instagram. I've got the link down below in the description, so you guys can go check that out. But if you want to talk about that on stream,
I'll talk about it. I won't name like pricing or anything, but I will say
totally cool.
like like the subscription is very affordable, especially like I think in today's subscription stuff.
Hmm.
It's really not that much, and there's gonna be like a lot of good stuff on there. I mean, I'm less than a week in right now, so there's only two things up, but but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good stuff on there, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I think for like the price is pretty good. And then same with like tutorials. It's by hour, but
Okay.
it's very reasonable too by the hour. I've had people talk about, like you should raise it. And I'm like, well, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna raise it, just to keep making it as accessible as possible. So if you are interested in finding more about that, just DM me on Instagram. That's usually how people get a hold of me anyway for it. So and allows me to keep track of everything there. So if you're interested, DM me and I'll share that information with you.
Awesome. Yeah,
Cool.
that's kind of what I wanted to get out of it was like, hey, click the Instagram link in the description and DM about it because that's gonna be how you reach out. Also
Yeah,
down in the description is the link to OK New Type, which are the Oklahoma New Type group, right? So you guys, in addition to the GBWC past weekend, had New Type Cup, which
yeah.
sounded like it was a great success. Tell me a little bit about that because, the idea of local competitions outside of like the major sponsored ones is really appealing to me. Especially lately. I'm like, yeah, I've got this big like digital online community, but like, I kind of miss people.
Yeah. So the like OK New Type started out as like a it was we had the Oklahoma Gundam group, but it wasn't like an actual community. It was just like a Facebook group where people shared their stuff. And so we sort of like worked with the guy there and was like, hey, like, do you mind if we develop like a Discord and like a brand for like a community for this? And he didn't care. So a few of us got together and developed it. I designed the logo for it and everything, and we got it off the ground. And then I think a couple months into it, we were like, let's start a competition or a show to kind of get everybody like meeting everybody uh and actually seeing work in public. And so we started the New Type Cup, which was just a show rooted in kind of getting everybody into the same room, looking at builds and just growth in the hobby for our state. And we're on our fourth year now, that was our fourth year. So we're gonna be planning our fifth year, and then coming up
Wow.
here in a few months. So we learned a lot in how to run a gunpla competition, things that needed to be done. I think it helped a lot, like, or I wasn't too worried about it with, being in marketing and everything, like, I've put on events before, and so, just getting that done, independently, but, like, we were now funding this whole thing. Um, so, yeah, we put on the new Type Cup for to kind of increase, development in the hobby in our state and promote Gundam, and it's been a huge success. We've grown in entries every year. We're probably a year away from, like, outgrowing the space which we host at our hobby town,
Oh,
who's been our partner basically the whole time in it, and, they've been super supportive, and I won't say, like, indirectly we had an effect on it, but, like, now they're a flagship store for Gunpla, and so, like, they sell shitloads of kits, and
yeah,
it's
that's
always awesome. Like, we'll talk to them, like, after, the new Type Cup, and they'll be like, "Yeah, we moved, like, $2,000 worth of model kits, like, today," or something like that, and so, they see it as beneficial working with us and growing the hobby, and plus the owners actually, like, give a shit about Gunpla, and so it's really, really nice to see. But, yeah,
yeah.
so we did that, and then whenever GBWC started having regionals again in person after, the whole COVID thing, we were like, "Why not just have it side by side with New Type Cup?" They're both at Hobbytown,
Yeah, it's
and
perfect.
if we can yeah, and if we can we already have everybody there, why not just run it side by side with it? Um and so it's super convenient for everybody, and I think it helps also with you know numbers for GBWC as well. Like, we have a good amount of turnout for that. It's almost like we're creating like a super regional for GBWC because we're pulling in all these people from other states coming in and having GBWC and our contest, and so we make it to where, like they're two different contests, but you can enter both.
Yeah.
So, like, on our sheet, we're like, are you entering GBWC as well? And so, we're like, we bring in people from, like, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas,
Huge,
and
man.
so we're yeah, it's pretty cool. We've had some awesome stuff show up, and this I think this year was the smoothest it's ever ran. Last year, our registration was kind of shitty. Like, it sounded good on paper, but whenever it went into application, it sort of failed. And this year, we ironed out all the kinks. We listened to all the feedback that we got, and it was the smoothest it's ever ran. And I think it was the most successful as far as general, like, population, happiness. We went from a 1, 2, 3 format where, like, you have the categories and you pick first, second, third in the categories, to a GSBC format, which is gold, silver, bronze,
Yeah.
where instead of the model kits being compared to each other for who wins first, second, and third, the models are compared to a standard of what is considered a bronze level, silver level, or gold level model. And so, like, a category can have multiple bronzes and multiple silvers and multiple golds. And this was a great way to highlight and still judge properly kits that took, different creative liberties than others. And so at the end of the competition, like, I think everybody left with something, whether it was a ribbon, or we had
Oh,
specialty plaques for, like, specialty awards, like best paint, best non-UC, stuff like that. We had like 20 of them, and then
oh,
we had raffles and stuff. And so I think everybody left with something, which
yeah.
was
That's
awesome.
cool.
That's amazing. I
It's
mean,
always
and
nice.
it's so hard to because you're never gonna please everyone with like a subjective contest like this, right? So I think that the way that you've gone about it is definitely a much more appreciative way and respectful of everyone's time and work and effort that they put into it. So that's really awesome. That's how you've executed it. And I know it can only get smoother. Like that's the best part is it's like this is the smoothest it's ever ran so far, which is cool. But I mean 4 years is a serious streak that like I like you'd definitely be proud of that because it's most events, most of these types of things, they don't last but like two, right? It's it's very hard to keep a good thing going. So I'm really glad that you guys have kind of ironed the kinks out and something happened with it. I hope you have something exciting planned for the 5th anniversary of it.
Oh man, yeah. I hope we can do something cool. We haven't really given a thought about it. We're, like, still on the come down from this year's.
Yeah, it's
I was talking to the owner of the hobby tent. All right, I was like, thanks for having us again. You'll probably hear from me in like 4 months after I kind of come down from everything, and we start playing it again. But yeah, that's just the main part is ironing out the date. But yeah,
I'll have
hopefully.
to head up there next time since I'm so close,
Yeah, yeah,
relatively speaking.
yeah. If you don't come, we're gonna have problems.
Yes, yeah, hold me to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that would be awesome, and bring people from Texas too, because
great
we have
idea.
a good time. I don't know, like if we'll have it the same time as GBWC again, because like I said, we are outgrowing that space, and the main thing about having them in tandem was that they were in the same location. But I think uh, I think now we're gonna have to change. But yeah, kind of back to your original question that I sort of like drifted off from. There wasn't a lot of Gunpla competition. Actually wasn't any Gunpla contest in Oklahoma, I believe, at least like a large one. And we wanted to make that, and yeah, that's just what we did. Like everybody either had to go out of state to do it, or participate in one online. And so we kind of saw a need and filled the need. And then now, like we work with our like the Tulsa group here, like you see the Tulsa Modelers Forum. We work directly with them on like bringing Gunpla to their contest. They support the heck out of us with awards and everything, and helping out. And then we also like we make it a personal mission to be involved in other local groups in other states. Like we partner with the guys in Arkansas and Missouri and Kansas and stuff like that to support their competitions as well, because we're all like within the same like 4 hours of each other or so, and so we all go to the same contest, and so it makes sense to a rising tide lifts all ships kind of mindset. And
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's cool.
No, and I love that. Like, I think that that should be kind of like a take-home lesson for everyone is, like if you're not part of a local build group in your area, like find one and join it. And if there isn't one, then make one and build it, because that's, that is sincerely impressive to be able to kind of like feather in the cap, like built this thing from scratch and kind of put together a competition. Um, so it's sweet.
Yeah, yeah, and like shout out to like everybody who helps out with that too. Like it's definitely not just me at all. Like we have other great staff members like with Oklahoma New Type, and people who have volunteered to help, and then all the like everybody in the community is, yeah, it's definitely not just me. It wasn't my idea. So uh
No, no, it's always a team effort, but yeah, no, I mean, and same token, it's like, I've got RVA Gunpla in my backyard, so like I'm trying to get nickel models over here on the show to
yeah,
talk about building communities as well. So because yeah, I know that you guys have a lot in common as far as building up these local build groups. So um
it's true.
but yeah, I want to be respectful of our time. I know we started late, so I was like, okay, we can run a little bit later, but I wanted to let you guys run if you needed to. So I appreciate you going over just a little bit, given the technical difficulties that we were struggling with. But
Oh
like I
yeah, I
said,
get it.
guys, go check out Gunpla Luke's Instagram down in the link below, as well as OK New Type. Go follow both of them, because you're gonna see fantastic builds on both pages.
Yeah.
Definitely consider subscribing to Luke's tips, because like honestly, like I'm thinking about it now here too myself, because I'm like,
Yeah.
because I could use the help. But yeah, did you have any other thoughts you wanted to share with us before we close out tonight?
Um, Shoot. I'm not good at this.
Oh yeah, I
Thanks
don't mean to
for
put you on the spot.
yeah, thanks for like having me on and letting me talk about the stuff that I do. And
Oh no. Oh no, it looks like my call dropped. Give me a second, guys. Zoom is the worst. Oh my goodness. Okay, give me 30 seconds, you guys. Apologies.
Gives you a
All
little
right,
time.
I apologize about that. Speaking of technical difficulties. No, like you're saying, thank you for coming on the show because I mean I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us, sharing your experience with this build, and then like I said, in particular, I really am glad to see that you're bringing like sound design theory and narrative structure to your GBWC build, so that was very cool. But yes, now I can let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks again, yeah, for having me on. It's been great. I love talking with you guys. I'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
everybody for tuning in and listening to me talk about Gunpla and everything I do and
What we're
check
here
out.
for.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're interested in the lessons and stuff, hit me up. Subscribing is great. Like I said, it's probably like the cost of a Pokemon card pack a month. And like I said, nobody's getting rich. It just helps support me and my family. And then also check out Oklahoma New Type. You know, if you're in the area, surrounding states from Oklahoma, consider following and making it down for one of our events. We have a great event, and we also have a great online community. You can check out more information about a lot of that at oknt.net. Um, and thanks for everybody who helped put on the New Type Cup. If you're listening, you're awesome. And a part of Oklahoma New Type. Let me see. Try to plug anything else here. I think that's it.
Good stuff, man. No, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you, Adam, for
Oh yeah.
co-hosting as always.
Of course.
Hope you all have a good rest of your night, a great rest of your week. Of course, remember you've got Adam's video in the description below if you haven't watched it yet, and then of course we've got the Gundam Explain show tomorrow, so stay
That's
tuned
right.
for that. Until then, catch y'all later.
See you.